Have you ever experienced a loneliness, but it doesn't look like loneliness? And of course, it happens in the middle of your normal, everyday, busy life. You're surrounded by people, you're talking, you're responding, you're taking care of things, and still there's this quiet feeling inside you underneath everything. It's not dramatic, it's not obvious, it's just kind of a distance. And in that distance, while you're going through all of that, a thought suddenly appears in your mind or comes to mind. You start thinking, I must be the only one feeling like this. Now, this is not because you fully believe it. I mean, you believe it kind of, but because you haven't really heard anybody else talking about it in a way that sounds familiar, that sounds like your life. So you just assume that it must be you. And that's what we're talking about today. Hi, mamas. My name is Christine, and I am a mom who has been where you are, just trying to juggle multiple roles I had taken on, considering everyone else by myself. I started taking my own needs, my own interests as an afterthought. You put it on the list, at the bottom of the list, and then that's the first thing that gets crossed off. That was me. But that has since changed. And I am being more intentional about my interests. And this has really shifted things for me. So I now help moms who are going through the same thing, who are in the same position that I was in, to finally start taking time for themselves, not neglecting their family, but taking time for themselves. And you can find me over on school in the Creativity and Clarity for Moms community. Okay? So I hope you join, and I'll see you there. So let's talk about the performance of I'm fine. How many times have you said I'm fine? Right? Now, this is one of the most exhausting roles that we take on as moms. And that's a role of being okay, saying I am fine, I am okay. Not actually okay, but appearing okay. You're smiling, you're responding, you're keeping things moving, you're doing this and that. You keep saying, I'm good, I'm fine. When somebody asks, even when the truth is far more complicated and far more different than I am fine, I'm okay. This performance, because it is a performance, right? It becomes so automatic in us that we stop noticing when we're actually doing it, right? And over time, as you keep performing it, keep on saying, I'm fine, guess what happens? People stop asking the deeper questions because what? They will say, oh, you would just say, I'm fine. And of course, if they stop asking, you stop sharing. And if you stop sharing, you start believing that there is nothing to share. And that's just not true. So let's talk about the silent weight that everybody thinks they're alone in. Okay? Now, there are, of course, certain feelings that we think are not allowed, we're not allowed to talk about, right? I'm feeling overwhelmed, but I don't really have a clear vision, a clear reason why I am overwhelmed. I'm feeling like out of touch with things and everything around me, but I don't really know how to explain it. Or I'm feeling irritated by by the smallest of things. Or you're feeling emotionally flat. Or you're feeling like you're constantly behind, and even when you're trying your best, you feel like you're trying to keep on catching up on things that are going on around you. How about this one? You feel like you're doing everything right, but still that feeling of something is off inside keeps on persisting, keeps on staying, keeps on bugging you. But why? Why is it invisible? Why don't we talk about it? Why isn't it's spoken about. Why don't we talk about it? Well, is it because these feelings by themselves are not dramatic enough to justify attention? Basically, we assume there are our personal failures, so we don't talk about them because we feel like, oh no, this is just me. This is how I do it. This is what I'm going through. This is just season. But they're not, okay? They are shared experiences. They're not just spoken out loud enough to feel normal. That's the problem. So why does this isolation feel so personal? When you don't see your experience, your feelings of loneliness, overwhelm, mental exhaustion, those feelings, when you don't see everything that you're experiencing reflected anywhere else by anybody else, your brain, you mentally start simplifying things, right? You start personalizing it and you start saying, oh, this must just be me. And unfortunately, because we blame ourselves, we start creating shame in ourselves, right? Not because there's anything wrong with us, right? It's because by remaining silent, we are creating a misunderstanding within us and then also in general with other people. Because if I'm feeling this way, then somebody else is definitely feeling it, but they don't know because we're all keeping mum, right? So you can be surrounded by people and still feel alone in your internal experience because what's missing is not the people. They're all around you. It's the reflection. It's the opening up. It's the sharing, right? Now, what happens when you realize that other moms are feeling this too? I mean, I'm sure I know, because I felt like I was in that hole too of feeling like there was something off with me, that I'm not feeling, not necessarily dissatisfied with what my life is, but feeling like there is something missing, that there is more that I can be doing, I can be experiencing it. But when I realized that there were other moms that are going through this, it it shifted something in me. It made me feel lighter, made me feel not alone, like I am part of a wider experience that moms go through. So when you hear somebody describing their internal world out loud, I mean, it doesn't match perfectly. It's not exactly like what you're going through, but believe it or not, it's close enough that you start reacting. I mean, your body starts reacting before your mind does because your chest starts tightening up. You pause. A breath you didn't realize that you were holding, you suddenly let loose. And suddenly, what felt personal, what felt like just mine, my little self, treasure, well, not treasure, but what I'm experiencing, it becomes shared. Because now you're seeing that other people, other moms, other women are going through the same thing. And because it's a shared pain, it's a shared issue, it's a shared need, a shared experience, it makes it lighter and it's no longer something that's hidden. So I want you to realize that you were never alone. No matter how many times you feel like you are alone in your experiences, with you trying to figure out who you are in this big role of motherhood, in the other roles that you take on, that feeling of isolation, the feeling of loneliness, you're not alone. So the truth is, we never realized this, at least early enough, that we're not alone in our experiences. We're just isolated by how we interpret it, right? So how we understand things, how we understand what we're going through, because it's our personal experience. We think nobody else is going through it, and because we think nobody's going through it, we keep mum about it. We keep it to ourselves, and it's kind of in its own cocoon. We isolate ourselves based on our interpretation of nobody else's doing. Right? So many of us end up carrying mental exhaustion, emotional overstimulation, identity loss of personal space, and a quiet grief of who we used to be, mourning who we used to be. But we're doing all of this quietly, individually, silently. So why don't we talk about it? Now, there are a few reasons, and I'm sure you can think of more, but here are a few. We think that we should be handling it better, right? Especially if you're perfect or recovering perfectionists like me, we think we should be handling it better. Or we don't want to burden others. That's a big one because we feel like, oh, we chose this. We chose to be moms. We are moms. We're happy in the role of being a mom, a wife, um, a worker, a business person, or whatever roles you have in your life. And so we should be better at handling it and we should be better at taking taking care of it, like solving all the problems. We shouldn't be troubling other people with our issues because we chose it, right? That's what we tell ourselves. We think that everyone else is coping fine because nobody's talking about it. So of course you feel, "Oh, it's just little old me," right? We think it will pass on its own. So we think that this is just a season. So motherhood is a season, but what we're feeling, the missing part of us, the loneliness, the identity crisis, the issues, that isn't for a moment. That doesn't end with motherhood. I mean, it doesn't end when your kids are grown and out of the house. It actually grows, right? Because everything is changing around you and you still don't know who you really are. You still don't really know what you like anymore. You don't know yourself anymore, right? So we think it's part of motherhood, but that's false, right? Because of that, because of all of those, we tend to normalize silence. We tend to believe I should be keeping quiet because of it's normal. It's part of the season I'm in. It's temporary. No. What this does, it doesn't remove the feeling, it just isolates it. So now let's discuss the shift from the me problem, you experiencing things by yourself, and the human experience where you're realizing that you are not alone. And one of the most healing shifts that a mom can experience is realizing that it's not just you. If you say to yourself, this is not just me, it's going to open things up because you're going to start believing, well, it might take a little bit, keep on saying it, that it's not just you, but it'll help you realize that you don't have to keep quiet about it. You don't have to hide it like it's a dirty secret, right? You can share it. You can talk to your friends about it. You can join communities. Well, come on, join Creativity and Clarity for Moms on School. We'll welcome you. But you will be able, that will open you up and make you feel more comfortable to open up and share with other people and discuss what you're going through and your feelings, right? Because you were not alone. And just doing that, that reduces shame. Of course, your situation hasn't changed, but the meaning changes, right? You stop seeing yourself as broken, as the problem, as the issue that needs to be fixed. You start seeing yourself as a human, right? As somebody who's experiencing something normal, something that moms experience. So, what does connection actually start with? Like, connection doesn't start with fixing, even though we do want to fix what's going on. It starts with actually honesty. Because if you do not honestly, I'm going to say honesty several times, but if you do not acknowledge it to yourself, just honestly think about it and acknowledge it to yourself, then you're not starting. You can't start. It means acknowledging what you were going through, what you were feeling. It means saying things like, I have been feeling a little off lately, or I didn't realize how tired I was, or I think I've been running on autopilot. Now, these are not dramatic statements, but they open up a space for truth to exist outside of your head, right? Because we tend to keep it in our head and our minds. I mean, it goes over and over and over again. But once we start verbalizing it and saying it, we we break it free from the prison that we have it contained in. And this is why community matters more than you think, because it's not just for emotional support, which you do get. It's about identity correction. Because when you realize you're with other moms who are experiencing the same thing, you realize that when you were isolated, your inner narrative, what you kept telling yourself, would get distorted, right? It gets distorted because it's in your mind, it's going over and over. It's about me, 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 me. You assume I am the only one struggling with this, that you are the only one struggling with this. But when you connect with other moms, everything shifts. How you speak about what's going on shifts. This you start thinking, you start believing that this is something many of many of us are moving through. And that definitely changes how you see yourself. Okay? Because awareness is not enough on its own, but naming it too. So you're connected with other moms. You understand that, oh, other moms are going through it, but you're also naming it. Because what comes next matters just as much, right? Because first you're naming it, you're acknowledging it, you're naming it. Then you slow down. You slow down, naming it, and you gently start rebuilding connection to yourself. Now, it's fine connection with other moms, but connection to yourself. You're falling in love with yourself again, right? Without pressure or guilt. And you're not doing this in isolation because you have support. And in this awareness, you realize and you fully embrace that you are not the only one experiencing it. I hope you get this, Mama, because it is time that many of us start speaking up and realizing that this is not something that each mom goes through by themselves. It is something that we can all relate to. It's something that we're all experiencing in one way or another, right? In different ways, different degrees. But you are not alone. And if you're feeling like you've been carrying something quietly that no one else seems to see, I want you to know this, that you are not alone in that experience. Whether you share it or not, whether somebody sees it or not, whether you see it, you acknowledge it or not, you are not alone. You are not the only one that's going through that experience. You are just one of many women who have been quietly holding the same weight, same experience. You're just one of us who has been silently going through all of this by herself. And the moment that you realize that you are not alone, that tension inside you that's holding everything together, that's holding everything despite saying, I'm fine, I'm okay, will start to loosen up. And it's not because everything is fixed, even though we want it to be because of that, but it's because you are no longer carrying it alone. That's a big thing. You can acknowledge all you want that, oh yeah, other moms are going through it, but before you acknowledge it in your mind, before you fully believe it, you're still going to feel like you're carrying it alone. And acknowledging it in your mind makes all the difference. So I hope that if you are going through this, if you want need great a group of women, a group of moms who are going through the same experiences that you. And if you are ready to acknowledge it, to name it, and start finding out, start revealing the missing pieces, to start falling in love with yourself again in your current roles. If you are ready to bring you back into your life, then come and join us in the Creativity and Clarity for Moms on School. If you like this video, go ahead and like and subscribe. And more importantly, if you know a mom who is going through this and really needs to hear this, even just a little bit of this, go ahead and share it with them. Because the more moms understand this, hear this, and realize that they do not have to go through this alone, there's nothing wrong with them, the better we will be and the better examples we will be to our kids. So that's it for today, and I will see you next time. Bye.